Alright, so lesson number 2. We're going to work with the chain that you made before, or with a new chain, whichever you want. I'm working with, I've got 16 chain stitches here. You can do as many as you like. But the first thing that you need to learn is the structure of the chain stitch to start with. So, if you look at the front of the chain, you'll notice that there are these little V's, and it looks like, there's a stitch that ends in a V here, and then the next chain ends in a V there. So each of these little V's is one of your chain stitches. See, each of those little V's, that is your chain stitch. Now if you flip your chain stitch over and look at the back side, you'll see that there is a row of ridges. See those? Each one of those ridges belongs to one of your chain stitches. So the chain stitch consists of this loop that's made of V here, and each one of those is a chain stitch, and each chain stitch also has this little ridge in the back, and each one of those ridges is a chain stitch. I'll be right back. Okay, so why is it important to know that there's these two different parts of the chain stitch? Well, depending on what your project is, sometimes you will be working into the front, into this little space between the V's, and sometimes you'll be working into the back, into this little loop that makes a ridge on the back. Most of the time you're just going to work into the chain normally from the front side. Working into the back loop of the chain makes a really nice, neat looking edge, because then you end up with this row of V's as the top of your piece. So that's really useful when you're doing things like making a sweater, and this is the neckline. That would make a really nice neckline for your sweater. But just since we're all, working on the very basics here, the first thing that you're going to do, wrap your yarn around your fingers in whatever method feels comfortable to you. Remember, you're using 2 fingers of your left hand here to control your work. And so most of the time when you're working into your chain, and what we're going to do here is you're going to skip the first chain stitch, because you need to have the height on the edge of your piece of 1 chain stitch, right? So let's get the tension right here. Pull that loop. You don't want to have a giant loop here that'll make it look messy. So you go in just above the V. See that V there? You're going to go in above the V. Grab the yarn from behind with your hook and pull it through. So you now have 2 loops on your hook. And you're going to grab the yarn again, pull it through, and now you're just back to 1 loop on your hook. So if you look, you've gone into this first chain stitch. You can see where it ends because that's the V, right? So you've worked into this chain stitch. Now we're going to work into the next chain stitch. So go directly below the V and into the next one above the next V. Insert your hook, grab the yarn, pull it through, 2 loops on the hook. Go behind the yarn, grab a hold of the yarn, loop it, pull it through both of the loops on the hook. That is a single crochet. So once again, here's the V from the last stitch that you worked, there's the V of the next stitch, so you're going to go in between those 2. Grab the yarn, pull it through, 2 loops on the hook, pull the yarn through both loops on the hook. So you can see you're making fabric. So I'm just going to work these rest of these stitches all the way to the end, and then I'll show you how to start the next row. So just practice with me, inserting your hook into each chain stitch, pulling up 2 loops, and then working off those 2 loops with another loop of yarn. Insert, pull through, 2 loops on the hook, insert your yarn, or grab your yarn again. And some people like to do this like this. Some people will, you know, yarn over like this and then hold it and pull through. You can do that if you want. Any way that it is comfortable to you to hold the yarn and work with the yarn, whatever you feel gives you the best control of the yarn is what works for you. I'm just going to adjust my camera here really quick because it seems to be not in a great position. So we'll do this. Maybe we'll get a better picture here. There we go. That looks better. All right, so we've got 2 loops on the hook. We're going to pull the yarn through both loops on the hook. And then we're going to find our next chain stitch, which is right there. And we're going to insert the hook, grab a loop, pull it through, 2 loops on the hook, grab a loop of yarn, pull it through, and there. That is what it looks like. So go to the end, do single crochet in each of the chains to the end of your chain, just like so. I'm going to go slow so you get a good idea. Of how this works. And hopefully I'll have better quality videos coming up in the future. Right now I'm using my desk webcam and it's not the best quality. So come back in just a moment when we've gotten to the end of the chain. Alright, so here we are. We've worked our chain, 1 single crochet stitch in each chain all the way across, and we've come to the end of our chain. This is our tail. This is our working yarn. You can see that's the last chain stitch, or the last single crochet that we've done in the last chain. Now, what you're going to do is this. Okay, so you hold on to that stitch just so that you have good control over your yarn, and you're going to chain 1 at the end. So we've made a single chain stitch after our last single crochet. Now we're going to turn our work over so that we're looking at the back side, and this is our chain stitch that we just made, and that's that last single crochet. You can see there are 2, there's a V on the top, right? That first V is our chain stitch, the next V is your first single crochet. Now, basic single crochet, you're just going to insert your hook underneath both bars of that V. So you can see, I'll do that again just so you see. There's your chain 1 that you made to turn, insert the hook into the stitch. You can see there's like a natural hole that it makes, but you're going underneath both bars of that V, and you're going to loop your yarn. You're going to grab it with your hook and pull it through, and so you'll have 2 chains, 2 loops on your hook there, right? And so grab the, just like you did before, we're going to grab the yarn and we're going to pull it through both, and you've made your second row. You started your second row. That is the first single crochet of your second row. So continue in that manner across the row, inserting your hook where you see that natural kind of hole underneath both bars of that V on your stitch. You can see that, right? And pull the yarn through. Now, you can do this all the way to the end, and then the process exactly the same to turn and do the next row. And for a while, it's a good idea to count your single crochet stitches as you go, because it's really easy to miss that first stitch at the beginning of the row when you turn. So always make sure that when you get to the end of the row, we're just going to work a single crochet all the way across. When you get to the end of the row, that you're aware of where the top of the V for your last stitch that you're crocheting is, and that you can differentiate it from that chain 1 that you make to turn. Now, different stitches, this is a little bit different, and you might not work into the first stitch. However, when you're doing single crochet, you're always going to be working into that first stitch, and you're going to ignore the chain. It's only there to provide enough height for your next row, right? So chain 1, that's your chain, there's your stitch. You can hold on to the V of that first stitch just so that you know where it is, that's it. That's your chain, that's your first stitch, and insert your hook into the first stitch and continue onward. So this single crochet stitch, you can see it's pretty. It's a nice stitch. It looks the same on both sides of the fabric, as you continue to work it. So you can use this stitch when you want a fairly dense fabric that is, kind of thick and it's very warm. You can use this for things like mittens, for scarves, for hats, and as we get into more advanced techniques, I will teach you how to do things with that. If you want to make a scarf and you're anxious to have a project that you can show off right away, that you learned how to do crochet, you can do a simple scarf in one color, just like this, with this stitch, probably 20 single crochet stitches across. If you're using a worsted weight yarn and this is an H hook, that would be sufficient to make an actual scarf in single crochet. Scarf, you're going to want it to be probably about 50 inches long, so by the time you got done with that, you would be a real expert at the single crochet stitch. So we'll do this one more time just so you can kind of see again how we're going to do the single crochet stitch. We already have our first stitch done, so insert the hook, pick up a loop, through 2 loops on the hook, pull your yarn through. There you go. Insert, pull it up, you have 2 loops, grab the yarn, pull it through, 1 loop, insert your hook, pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops, grab your yarn, pull it through, back to 1 loop. That's the single crochet stitch. And so the next video will be double crochet, and I will show you how to do the double crochet stitch, which is one of the most versatile stitches. Alright, so there you are. Happy crocheting. You can do it.